Hello and welcome to the second part of our Health AI series. Today we will explain to you why we think that voice is the new blood. We will show you what voice biomarkers are and which diseases we can tackle with Health AI. The human blood is the basis of a variety of medical applications for diagnosis. But what if our voice can also tell us a lot about our health status? In order to better understand how acoustic characteristics of disease patterns show up in the voice, we have to first understand how the vocal mechanism in a human body works. Various structures in the abdomen, chest and head must be coordinated when we make a sound. Diaphragm, lungs, thorax and trachea serve as a wind box. Vocal support, larynx and glottis serve as a vibrator and tone generator. Pharynx, oral cavity and nasal cavity are our resonator. Basically, our entire body influences how our voice sounds. All this is subject to a cognitive control process. So when a physical or mental effort or even a disease affects this process, it also affects how our voice sounds. And this means we can distinguish between a healthy and a sick person. Characteristics concern intensity, intonation and tempo. If AI systems are trained with appropriate data, usually speech and voice data, they can learn patterns and can distinguish characteristics. Thus, AI systems can provide diagnostic cues. In general, there are two aspects that can be distinguished: psychological and physical aspects. A good example for the physical aspects is Parkinson's syndrome, because it addresses motor disorders in speech. In this disorder, the muscle groups involved in speech production are impaired. These persons show a lack of precision in the formation of sounds. For example, they have problems with intonation and intensity in their voice, they have a monotony in their voice, and they also have a roughness in their voice. For the psychological side of speech production, emotion recognition is a perfect example. For example, in disorders like burnout, depression, or Alzheimer's disease, you can recognize changes in the voice. For uncontrolled emotional outbursts, bipolar disorders or similar diseases, emotion recognition is an increasingly relevant factor for detection. A very important factor for the quality of AI-based speech analysis is the quality of data and also the amount of data available. In order to teach the algorithm relevant characteristics, a large amount of voice data has to be available, as well from healthy persons as well as from sick persons, to distinguish between healthy and sick voice patterns. For Health AI, the data has to be annotated. This means it has to be labeled by trained people according to the medical diagnosis. This way, the algorithm can learn a model to make general decisions later. A good current example is COVID-19, which can also be detected from the voice, because it is a respiratory disease which attacks the lungs and the respiratory system. People have symptoms like shortness of breath, pain in the throat, coughing and sneezing. Because of these symptoms, AI makes it possible to detect COVID-19 from sound events like, for example, coughing, sneezing, or a rough voice. Initial studies show very good results, but the combination of speech and other sound events like coughing and sneezing shows the best probability of detecting the disease. An AI-based voice test could make a significant contribution to the containment of the pandemic. For example, it could break chains of infection by detecting the disease in an early stage. This was the second part of our Health AI series. Thank you for tuning in, and yes, stay tuned for the next part. See you soon!